I was just looking at what I think is somewhat of an insurrection going on at a Senate office building. I mean, if I understand the term insurrection correctly as defined by liberals, let's see here. Let me see if I can get some audio up on that. This is happening 30 minutes ago at a U.S. Senate office building. Palestinian protest. Bunch of red shirts. Have your finger on the dump button, Bell. I haven't previewed this, so somebody might throw an F-bomb out there. I don't know. Insurrection happening right now in the Senate building, one of the Senate office buildings, by pro-Palestinian protesters. Fund jobs, not genocide, it says. They're ripping the signs down. Police are ripping the signs down. Oh yeah, this is a full-scale government insurrection that's going on right now, as defined by liberals. They're defying the police. They're running from the police. Police are trying to cordon them off, take away their signage. They're now engaged in some form of sit-in. There are multiple people with masks on, which indicate to me that these are stupid people. I mean, you know, the medical mask, not like ski mask.
This is not an insurrection.
Well, because they have the mask on?
No, because you have to be a Trump supporter for it to be an insurrection.
Is that what we're to understand now?
Yeah.
Okay. Well,
this is
insurrection.
This is free speech and protest.
Stop arming Israel, it says. Oh yeah, they're rabble rousing there in the Senate office building in Washington, D.C. as we speak. So I guess, according to Bell, that's not an insurrection, though, because these aren't Trump supporters. These are supporters of a Palestinian state that has been run by an organization that is a terrorist group for the better part of 2 decades now. It's always good to reset this to make sure that people, even in the back, can understand it. I try to explain it in a way that those of you in Anionic can get it. When you hear people talking about Palestine desiring to be free, Israel left the Gaza Strip in 2006, and they secured their own borders for fear that terrorists would come across their borders and kill Israeli people, as they have done for my entire lifetime since the existence of Israel. You can argue the existence of Israel, but you will not get very far in arguing with me that most of the individuals, if not all of the individuals in any level of political power in the Palestinian region, are anti-Israel and want to push Israelis, the Jews, into the sea and destroy the Israeli state. So anyone talking to you about the Palestinians deserving to run their own country, they have had the ability to run their own region, and they had every ability in the world to set it up in a way that it would be formally recognized by more countries around the world for 18 years now, since 2006. Sadly, with the billions and billions and billions of dollars, and it is a tremendous amount of money. We might be talking about trillions at this stage. The amount of money that flowed from the United States of America and from other countries around the globe in an effort to stabilize the West Bank and stabilize Gaza. So you don't hear a lot about the West Bank because the West Bank wasn't taken over by the radical Hamas group. The West Bank was taken over by the remnants of what was the PLO, the Palestinian Liberation Organization, Yasser Arafat's group. Well, believe it or not, Yasser Arafat's group now in that region of the world is the sane group. They're the sane ones. And you're hearing much less about unrest in the West Bank because they don't want what happened to Gaza to happen to them. And rightly so. Plus, the Israelis are not messing with you unless you mess with them, like happened October 7th of 2023. All that to say, any suggestion that the Palestinians demand that they have the ability to control their own territory, you answer that by saying they've had the ability to control their territory for the last 18 years. And sadly, the elected leadership of that region made the decision to use the billions of dollars that were given to them in humanitarian aid, the billions of dollars that were given to them to reconstruct their neighborhoods, to reconstruct their office buildings, and to make life better for the citizens in that region of the world. You know what they spent that money on? Tunnels and guns and terrorism and death, anti-Jew hatred, propaganda. And all of those things led to a fateful day last year, October 7th, when they saw that region of the world being further normalized. Most commentators on our American media won't talk about this because it gets to the root of what happened last year. Just before October 7th, it was announced that Saudi Arabia would be meeting with Israel, and the plan would be to further normalize relations with Israel, something that had happened with other countries in that region of the world. Jared Kushner, formerly of the previous Trump administration, was a big part of making a lot of this happen. The Iranians could not have Saudi Arabia normalizing relations with Israel. And so they had to do something to upset the apple cart. And their answer was to sacrifice tens of thousands of Palestinians at the altar of hatred and anti-Semitism. It's what happened. And I'm willing to get other perspectives on this, but I don't know that you'd be willing to call me, because you have to come at this with facts. Not with emotion, not with feelings. Nobody wants to see death. Who's responsible? Hamas, Hezbollah, and by extension, Iran. They have caused the unrest in that region of the world. And Americans going to stand by our allies. We don't have to engage in that fight, nor do I want us to. But we will stand by our allies. I'm inspired by these ridiculous nonsensicals. Free Palestine. Palestine was freed in 2006. What'd they do with it? They were not freed from Israeli oppression. How so? They ran their own country. They received billions of dollars in humanitarian aid and other aid. The Israelis limited any amount of arms that came into that country. The Israelis demanded that anything that go into that country that they get eyeballs on to make sure that they weren't bringing stuff in to do them harm. Sadly, it got in there anyway. The Israelis built walls to protect themselves. I'm perfectly willing to have discussions about Israeli settlements and land settlements and whether or not there needed to be land concessions to the Palestinians and all of those things, but only after the murder stops and you bring the hostage. We have hostage. Don't get me started. I get upset when I talk about this. We have hostages in Hamas custody right now that have been there for over a year. Americans. Not Israelis, Americans. Now, Israeli hostages would be bad enough. And these jackholes want to descend upon our Senate office building demanding that Palestine be free. How about we demand that American hostages are freed first, and then we'll talk to you about the rest. I'm willing to have any conversation with you about the rest. Just let the people that are currently being held captive go. That should be, the first point of negotiation. Then we can talk about the rest, all of the rest.